In every era of human history, people have tried to understand the invisible structure beneath the visible world. They asked why the seasons rise and fall, why human nature contains such contradictions, why thoughts seem to shape outcomes, and why certain patterns echo across galaxies, societies, and the human soul. Most civilizations answered these questions in ways that look very different from each other on the surface. Egypt with its gods and cosmic hieroglyphs, Greece with its philosophers, the early mystics with their revelations, Kabbalists with their diagrams, and modern seekers with the language of energy, psychology, and consciousness. Yet beneath all these expressions lies a surprisingly consistent philosophical skeleton, a worldview suggesting that the universe begins in mind or intention, that the small reflects the large, that everything moves in subtle waves of vibration, that opposites complete and reflect each other, that life unfolds in cycles, that actions produce consequences woven into the very fabric of being, and that creation arises from complementary forces working together. These are ideas we commonly associate with Hermeticism, the ancient tradition linked to the mysterious figure Hermes Trismegistus. Whether Hermes was one person, a combination of deities, or a symbolic voice for generations of sages, Hermetic thought represents a much larger and older conversation, one that spans civilizations. Today we follow that conversation across 5 major chapters of human thought. The Egyptian worldview, where these principles first lived, the Greek tradition, where these ideas became philosophy, the Gnostic imagination, where they became spiritual drama, the Kabbalistic system, where they were turned into symbolic architecture, and the modern esoteric revival, where they were translated into contemporary language. Our journey begins in ancient Egypt, a culture that saw the world as a layered and meaningful expression of divine intelligence. For the Egyptians, the universe did not begin with physical matter crashing into itself. It began with consciousness. In the Memphite theology, the god Ptah conceives the world in his heart and speaks it into existence. Thought precedes form. Intention shapes matter. Mind is the architect behind the visible. This was not an abstract idea to them. It was the foundation of their existence. Egyptian temples were not just buildings. They were microcosms of the cosmos, aligned with celestial bodies and constructed to mirror the emergence of creation itself. Rituals performed inside were believed to resonate with parallel events in the heavens. To act on earth was to echo an act in the divine realm. The visible world was a reflection of the invisible. Egyptian magic was based on the belief that sound and name have creative power. To speak a word was to activate the reality of what that word represented. Hieroglyphs were not merely symbols. They were living containers of spiritual force. Speech was creative, not descriptive. The Egyptians saw the cosmos as an interplay of dual forces, order and chaos, masculine and feminine, day and night, life and death. These were not oppositional enemies, but complementary partners in a cosmic dance. The universe remained stable through their balance, represented by the goddess Ma'at, whose presence ensured harmony and coherence. Cycles governed everything. The sun's death and rebirth, the Nile's rise and fall, the repeating patterns of nature and human life. The rhythm of existence was evident everywhere. Egypt gave the world a sense of a meaningful universe governed by consistent principles, mind behind matter, correspondence between realms, the power of vibration, the balance of complementary forces, and the cyclical movement of life. As these ideas traveled northward, they entered the intellectual world of Greece, where they were reframed in philosophical language. The Greeks inherited these ideas, but sought to clarify and reason through them. Plato, more than any other thinker, stands at the crossroads of mystical insight and philosophical articulation. He believed the physical world is only a shadow of a deeper reality, the realm of forms, eternal patterns that shape everything we see. In his view, consciousness is fundamental, and the material world is a secondary reflection. This mirrors the Egyptian idea that mind is primary. Plato also insisted that humans mirror the cosmos, that the structure of the soul reflects the structure of the universe. To understand oneself is to understand the world. The microcosm reflects the macrocosm. He described the cosmos as a harmony of mathematical relationships vibrating in proportion and order, suggesting that all things participate in a greater symphony. Opposites play an essential role in Plato's philosophy. Being and becoming, unity and multiplicity, light and shadow, these pairs reveal deeper truths when examined together. They are complementary sides of a single, unified reality. Plato also saw history as cyclical. Civilizations rise, flourish, decline, and rise again. The rhythm of time echoes the rhythm of nature. Greek thought did not replace Egypt. It refined it, giving language and clarity to insights that had existed for centuries. Yet, while Plato's language was philosophical, other traditions expressed similar ideas in the form of grand spiritual narratives. This brings us to Gnosticism. Gnosticism emerged in the early centuries of the Common Era, blending Greek, Egyptian, Christian, and Jewish influences. Gnostics believed the material world is a dim reflection of a higher spiritual realm. Each person, they taught, carries within them a spark of divine consciousness, temporarily trapped in matter. Salvation comes not through obedience but through awakening, through remembering the divine origin of the soul. Their cosmology describes a series of emanations, layers of reality flowing outward from the highest, most subtle realm to the lowest, most material. Each layer is a degree of vibration, a step down from pure consciousness. They saw the universe as a continuum rather than a set of isolated realms. Dualities, light and dark, spirit and matter, were expressions of one deeper unity. Human actions carried spiritual consequences, shaping the soul's ascent or descent. Gnosticism took Hermetic ideas and cast them as an emotional, mythic drama of exile and return. Jewish mystics, working independently yet arriving at similar insights, developed Kabbalah, a system that diagrammed the structure of creation. The tree of life is its central symbol, a map of divine energy descending from the infinite into the finite. At the top is Ein Sof, the boundless consciousness beyond all definition. From this infinite source, creation unfolds through stages, each more defined than the last. These stages are balanced in pairs, expansion with contraction, giving with receiving, force with form. These are not genders but archetypal energies necessary for creation to remain balanced. The tree of life also expresses the idea that human actions ripple across spiritual realms, healing or harming, connecting or separating. Everything is interconnected. The tree is a symbolic expression of the idea that what happens above is reflected below, and what happens within is reflected without. During the Renaissance, Hermetic scholars encountered Kabbalah and instantly recognized its parallel with Hermetic, Platonic, and Gnostic ideas. They fused these systems into a unified esoteric worldview that shaped alchemy, magic, and philosophy for centuries. And as these ideas entered the modern era, they continued to evolve. In contemporary spirituality, Hermetic themes are expressed through new vocabulary. Where ancient mystics spoke of mind as the source of reality, modern thinkers speak of consciousness shaping experience. Where they spoke of correspondence, psychology speaks of synchronicity, meaningful parallels between inner and outer events. Where Hermetic texts spoke of vibration, modern esotericism speaks of energy, frequency, and resonance. The interplay of complementary forces appears in discussions of balancing the intuitive and the rational, the active and the receptive, the conscious and the unconscious. Cyclical patterns appear in the study of human development, ecological cycles, and personal growth. Cause and effect is recognized in psychology, spirituality, and even quantum theories of interconnection. In many ways, the Hermetic worldview has become a quiet foundation beneath much of modern metaphysical thought. Why do these ideas keep returning across thousands of years? One reason is historical exchange. Civilizations influenced one another through trade, travel, and shared intellectual centers such as Alexandria. But the deeper reason is that these principles reflect how the universe behaves. Anyone observing nature sees cycles. Anyone reflecting on human behavior sees cause and effect. Anyone studying consciousness senses its primacy. Anyone watching the patterns of life notices the interplay of opposites. These insights arise naturally because they describe the structure of reality itself. Hermeticism, then, is not a rigid doctrine, but a lens, a way of seeing that reveals the hidden architecture beneath the surface of things. Through this lens, Egyptian temples, Platonic philosophy, Gnostic revelations, Kabbalistic diagrams, and modern metaphysics all become chapters of one long story. The story of humanity's attempt to understand its place in the cosmos. This story ends where it began, with the figure of Hermes Trismegistus, the symbolic messenger who stands between worlds. Hermeticism reminds us that wisdom is not owned by any one culture, religion, or era. It belongs to the shared human search for meaning. When we look across these 5 traditions, we do not see separate paths, but one ancient road, branching and diverse, yet unmistakably connected. A road that begins in myth, becomes philosophy, transforms into mystical drama, crystallizes into symbolic architecture, and continues into modern understandings of consciousness. To study Hermeticism is to listen for the patterns beneath appearances, to recognize that the universe is not a random machine, but a tapestry woven with intelligence, and to understand that by knowing ourselves, we come to know the world. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the great conversation of comparative Hermeticism. May these insights illuminate your own path, wherever it leads.